Hello to you all. I'm here to make a recording on a reproduction of Edison's first phonograph. Edison had been working on the phonograph in 1877, and in the first part of December of that year, he gave plans to his German machinist, John Kruesi, and asked him to make it. It took him about 4 days to make it, and on December 6th of that year, 1877, he gave it to Edison, and they began to get ready to work it. There was some debate whether or not it would work. They made bets. Edison wrapped a foil around the mandrel, the drum, and spoke into it. Mary had a little lamb, and by all accounts it worked perfectly well, or as well as the machine can work, the first time. So Edison grabbed his chest, apparently fell backward, and John Kruesi said in his native German, "Mein Gott im Himmel," my God in heaven. They played with it the rest of the day, and then Edison bundled it up and took it into New York City the next day to the offices of the Scientific American, where they played with it. I've been interested in this since about 61 rather, when I read my first book about it. Tried to make one, didn't know what I was doing, it didn't work. Later on, made another one that worked pretty good but looked like heck. And when I joined the Armed Forces, I knew more and had better tools and better equipment, better help, and I made some that looked pretty good. In the year 2001, I met by email Rene Rondeau, who really opened up a whole new part of this science for me. Bought a couple of his books and just devoured them, and still pick it up and read it pretty regularly. And through him I met other people who were involved in tinfoil stuff. Merrick Stellick, Leif Engelswick, whom I met on my own, Bill Patochik, Ray Phillips and Joe Ronaldo, Bill Miller. I still keep in contact with Bill pretty regularly, and he's the one who made this machine for me. Anton Stolwinder, who is a wonderful machinist from Holland, and he's the one that made the mouthpiece there that's just beautiful and fits in beautifully, and indeed was part of the original drawings. And also Benjamin Kennedy, who's worked on my machine, and also, has made a lot of YouTubes on them, and also works in reproducing cylinder records, sometimes on original wax cylinders, and I have a couple of his. Through them, also I've met Jeff and Steve Oliphant, Robbie Feinstein, Jean-Paul Agnard, and also when I was in Paris, Gerard Aurol. So I'm going to do this today. I took a couple of my machines on my last Westpacks in the Armed Forces, Western Pacific cruises, kept in my office, and boy, the sailors and Marines loved to come down and play with it, and were almost as astounded as I am when the darn thing worked. So I'm going to record now what Edison originally recorded, Mary Had a Little Lamb. First I'm going to wipe the foil with a little oil, and I learned that from Rene, and also from Benjamin Kennedy. It cuts down on the background noise by lubricating the tinfoil a little more. I put the foil on already because I'm really pretty bad at doing it, and the last couple of times was really bad, and after recording so much to have the recording kind of put in the deep six because I just didn't put it on right. So already got it on now, and now I'm going to record. You want to have the stylus in the groove enough so that it can record the hills and dales, the bumps and valleys, but not so deep that there's too much pressure on the needle, or you're pushing it too deep into the groove that you don't get a very good modulation in the foil. There we go. Now I'm going to try it. Mary Had a Little Lamb, December 6, 1877.
Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
Well, it's got some good bumps in there, so I hope it worked. Now, I withdrew the needle, and I'm winding it back to the right place, and now I'm going to put the reproduction needle in. Edison quickly realized he only needed one to do this for both recording and playback. So his next model, that was it. He also realized that he needed some weight on the mandrel so that you wouldn't go back and forth, slow and fast, up and down. So he put a flywheel on it. But this particular machine, it's his only one, his first one, does not have a flywheel. So I want to get it just in the groove, but not so much that it obliterates the vibrations. You ready? Well, I think that's pretty good. That's one of my best recordings. I'm going to take the needle out and crank it back and put it in again and play it again so that you can hear it again and maybe enjoy it again. Okay, here we go again. Boy, you can just imagine the surprise and why Edison did fall backwards and why John Kruesi did exclaim in German, "My God in heaven." Indeed, it was the miracle of the 19th century. Hope you enjoyed looking at this.